The second major type of marketing that we're going to be doing is called narrow Facebook advertising. This works in conjunction with broad advertising, and it's primarily concerned with generating short term results. So, here we're very much focused on narrow targeting and generating a strong return on investment and generating conversions. Why am I calling it narrow? There are a lot of different terms that people use to describe this type of marketing, but I think the best fitting is narrow because it really encompasses the scale to which we can take these campaigns. And the scale is actually quite small because who we're targeting primarily is in market buyers. Now, if people only buy consumer products once a year, once a month, once every few months, then at any given time, they're not in market. They're not in the shopping mindset. So if you think about something like a car, well, people might only buy a car once every 5 years or perhaps even once in their lifetime. So the vast majority of people are not in market. And that's why it's very important to get the targeting right so that we can hone down to those people that are more susceptible to our messages with narrow advertising. So the primary way of defining the target would be in-market buyers, but we're also going to define the targets in different ways. So there's also retargeting audiences. So it's not just everyone in our target market, but we're also going after specifically those perhaps that visited our website, those that watched one of our video advertisements, those that clicked one of our image ads, something like that. We're also going to be focused to some extent on current customers, perhaps upselling them, perhaps getting them into recurring revenue streams, engaging them, activating them. Maybe they bought a low ticket offer for $5 and we're trying to upsell them to a $100 offer, something like that. Another thing that we're doing is we may rely on intent data. So get data on people that we believe have the intent to buy. In other words, they're in market. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to target based on events that are happening. So again, we're getting to the idea of the trigger or the event that prompted the purchase process. So for example, that might be somebody that recently bought a home. Well, they're probably going to be in market for furniture, home insurance, etc. So the overarching idea here is the narrow targeting. That's the strategic level of what we're trying to achieve here. And I find way too many people get wrapped up in the technical mechanics, but really we're segmenting Facebook audiences into two groups, the broad group and then the narrow group. And because of that difference, the key challenge is really separating out the in-market consumers from that larger group. That's one of the keys to success when you're trying to run these profitable performance marketing campaigns on Facebook. So you can see here that if this is our total addressable market, all of our target customers, all of the category buyers, for example, only a fraction of that are going to be in-market customers. So to highlight this point, I want to talk about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is something that you think a lot of people know about, which they do, and you also may think that they buy very frequently. But Coca-Cola actually defines a heavy user as someone that consumes more than 2 times per year. And that might be surprising. But what this tells us is that at any given time, even with products that people buy a lot, they're not actually in the shopping mindset. So identifying who those people are is critical to the success of these campaigns, especially if you're not running any sort of broad advertising for long-term growth. So we got to parse out this tiny fraction of the market. So how do we triage these in-market consumers? How do we separate them from the pack? And I'm going to talk about 3 major ways, and then I'm going to go into details later about some examples of how we can achieve that. So the most obvious way to me is through retargeting. So some examples here is you retarget people based on their Facebook engagement. And in particular, what we're interested in is people's engagement with something that suggests purchase intent. So for example, if you just go out with a generic blog post, a generic white paper, or something that's captivating that people want to download, that may generate responses, it may generate interest, but it may not necessarily indicate that they have any intention at all at buying in the next few months or the next few weeks or today. So that's going to be key, is what are they engaging with, and does it actually suggest that they could be in market for what we're selling? So the other thing that we can do is we can use more advanced in-market targeting, which is available in other channels. So for example, with Google Display Network, they actually have the ability to target in-market audiences. With Google pay-per-click search, we can see based on what keywords people are typing in, what they're searching, perhaps that they are in market. For example, if they type in buy. So there are two ways in which Google helps us target in-market consumers based on what they're searching, which can be done through Google search ads as well as the display ads. And then there's the in-market targeting, which we do through Google display ads. The other option is the YouTube ad. So YouTube would have the same targeting options essentially that we have with Google Display Network. We can target in-market audiences. We can also just target people based on the types of websites that they visit or keywords that they're searching. And then what we do is we retarget those people, the people that came in through YouTube, came in through Google, we retarget them using Facebook. So as an example, anyone that visited your website and happened to come in through Google or YouTube, we would send them Facebook ads. Another retargeting option is simply going after website traffic. So it may not necessarily be everyone that visits your website, but perhaps you have a specific campaign targeting people that visited a certain page on your website or a certain section. So for example, if it's men's apparel, then you could retarget them with ads with more men's apparel. So retargeting is one way to triage in-market consumers. Another way is by using imported lists. So for example, you may have an internal list based on your CRM. So you can go into Zoho or Salesforce, whatever you have. You may have people and you may be tracking your own data to show that they may potentially be in market. Maybe they downloaded a buyer's guide to sports cars or something like that. So you can import them. You could import, for example, all the leads in your database, people who started a live chat with your sales team if you're selling an expensive product and you have a sales team, or you could retarget anybody who asks about price, because that would suggest that perhaps they're in the buying mindset. Or as per above, we could target people that visited the pricing page. Another thing that we can do is we can just compile or purchase our own list. We can, for example, just buy the list outright, or we can purchase a database subscription that gives us access to people that may potentially buy. We can also rely and pay for intent data. Now, the last example I have here is trigger targeting. So trigger targeting, basically we're targeting people based on some sort of event that's happened. For example, with Facebook, we're able to target people who recently got a job.